Tonight on The Buzz, Apple released new hardware last week, so this week we take a look at their new gear. Plus, we look at new emerging media technologies that you also need to know. We start with Larry O'Connor, the CEO of OWC, who shares his thoughts on Apple's new hardware with a special look at the Mac Mini. Plus, he also has exciting news about new products just released by OWC. Next, Digital Anarchy just released a new tool for Premiere that provides universal search throughout the app, Power Search. Tonight, CEO Jim Tierney tells us about the latest member of the transcriptive suite. Next, Bitmovin is a company that builds infrastructure and services for media. This includes media encryption, media players, and media analytics. Tonight, Kieran Farr, VP of Marketing for Bitmovin, explains what they do and how media creators can benefit. Next, Adrian Herrera, the VP of Marketing for Caringo, returns to talk about a brand new product which allows us to create and access files using object storage with less expensive hardware, as well as creating our own private cloud. All this plus James DeRuvo with our weekly doddleNEWS update. The Buzz starts now.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
Uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for the creative content industry, covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. Apple's new hardware grabbed all the headlines last week, but there was a lot of other interesting news bubbling under the surface. Tonight, Larry O'Connor talks with us about Apple's new gear. There are a number of media reports out today illustrating how easy or how hard it is to upgrade the Mac Mini. Tonight, we go to the upgrade source and learn more. Also, Adobe's continuing support for third-party plugin panels in Premiere has opened an entirely new category of software. These are more than a plugin, yet less than an application. For example, Jim Tierney's company just released a new panel that provides universal search throughout all of Adobe Premiere Pro, something that Adobe itself does not support. Tonight will be an interesting show. By the way, if you enjoy The Buzz, please give us a positive rating and review in the iTunes Store. We appreciate your support to help us grow our audience. And now it's time for our weekly doddleNEWS update with James DeRuvo. Hello, James.
Hi there, Larry.
So what's the news this week?
Well, Panasonic is unveiling a new 8K camera that they have spent 5 years in development with Fujifilm. It was originally designed for broadcast, but it may have some cinematic options as well. It shoots in 8K 60 with a global shutter, has wide dynamic range, and an electronic neutral density filter, which seems to be all the rage these days in a camera design. And it will come with a PL mount for all of your Panavision fans out there.
Well, what do you see as Panasonic's goal here?
Panasonic may be looking to run up against Red and Arri in the future with the 8K category, but they're taking a very deliberate approach by starting in broadcast. And with NHK in Japan going full 8K broadcast for the Olympics in 2020, it's pretty timely. But here in the US, some channels are still broadcasting in 720p and 1080i, so I wouldn't hold my breath that we're going to see an 8K broadcast here. So I think Panasonic would be better off taking this sensor and adapting it cinematically.
Well, not just some channels, but entire networks are still broadcasting in 720p.
I know, it's shameful.
So what's our second story?
Users of the Canon EOS R full-frame mirrorless camera are experiencing a few issues that they didn't see coming. Namely, they're complaining about build quality issues, that top plastic cover of the LCD screen on the very top of the EOS R. Some are saying that it shatters or cracks from just regular use after only a couple of weeks. And they also have discovered that the EOS R has no 1080p 60 mode in crop, especially when you're using Canon EFS lens. It just completely locks out the option, and there is no adapter for the EFS lens yet. The only workaround is to either shoot in 4K where you get a crop anyway and then downsampling, or turning on enhanced DIS, which actually makes your image look worse.
Well, is this a case of the camera not being ready for market?
I think it's just growing pains, quite frankly. It's drawbacks like this that's why I usually recommend not getting the first generation of any technology. Just let them shake the bugs out, add the few missing features with a firmware update here and there, and then when it's got the features that you want, then it's a good time to buy. As for the cracks, I'm not altogether sure this isn't just absent-minded shooters that have just gotten a little too rough with their camera without realizing it. I cracked the plastic LCD protective shield on my Canon 5D Mark II, and I have no idea how I did it, but I suspect I just didn't realize I dropped a lens on top of it in my camera bag, so I'm holding off on that.
All right, so that's stories on Panasonic and Canon. What's our third story?
Well, Red is going into the final frontier, and I don't mean shooting on Star Trek. I mean the real final frontier. Red is sending their helium 8K camera into space. In a recent supply run to the International Space Station, Red sent up a replacement for the Dragon 6K camera that was already on board, and NASA has released the first 8K footage shot on location in outer space, and the detail is really stunning.
How big a deal is this?
Quite honestly, I think it's more hype than anything. I mean, as if Red really needs the hype. The 8K video shown is really stunning, and it's, you know, when you see 8K, it's like being there. It'll have marvelous applications for science, I'm sure, because the 8K video will give them extra detail as they're looking at experiments and that type of thing. That's a good thing. But until we get someone yelling action on the surface of Mars, it's just another video of astronauts floating in space.
Okay, James, that is the Red Helium 8K camera. What other stories are you following this week?
Well, other stories we're following. In addition to your piece on getting the Mac Mini ready for editing, we look at whether the MacBook Air can handle a 4K workflow. Blackmagic beefs up their eGPU with a Pro model only a few months after releasing it, with a modest bump in performance. And speaking of Blackmagic, is their Pocket Cinema Camera 4K the best entry-level cinema camera on the market? That's what we're working on. What's up tonight on The Buzz?
Well, tonight we have what we call a variety show because we're covering a variety of topics. We're taking an in-depth look at Apple's new hardware, new software tools for editors, and a technology briefing on a new high-quality codec for distribution.
Oh, no, not another codec.
Another codec, and not only another codec, it's a great new codec. Wait till you learn more about it.
Can't wait to hear.
James, where can we go on the web to learn more about these and other stories?
All these stories and more can be found at doddleNEWS.com.
And James DeRuvo is the editor-in-chief of doddleNEWS.com and joins us every week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Have a good weekend.
Here's another website I want to introduce you to, doddleNEWS.com. DoddleNEWS gives you a portal into the broadcast, video, and film industries. It's a leading online resource presenting news, reviews, and products for the film and video industry. DoddleNEWS also offers a resource guide and crew management platform specifically designed for production. These digital call sheets, along with their app, directory, and premium listings, provide in-depth organizational tools for busy production professionals. DoddleNEWS is a part of the Thalo Arts community, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with resources you need to succeed. Whether you want the latest industry news, need to network with other creative professionals, or require state-of-the-art online tools to manage your next project, there's only one place to go, doddleNEWS.com. Larry O'Connor is the founder and CEO of Otherworld Computing, which we all know as OWC. Founded in 1988, OWC is both a reseller and a developer, supporting all things Mac for more than 30 years. Hello, Larry. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Larry.
It is always fun chatting with you. And the thing that I want to talk to you about today is the new gear that Apple released this week and last week's. I want to start with the MacBook Air. What's your impression?
It's, I tell you, there's big pros, and the only disappointment. Look, I love the machine, love that they went Retina, the speed, and initially it was a little, concerned because I only saw the i5s, but now they've got, all the models, lined up, including i7, so lots of power, Retina display, that nice light form factor. But the only thing that's kind of disappointing is the 512 gigabyte storage limit. That they stopped it there. That's the only negative that I really have to put out there.
But if you're editing media, do you really want to put the media on an internal drive? Because I know many shoots exceed multiple terabytes. Wouldn't you be better off planning to use external media?
Oh, for sure, but the Air is not actually, let's take a couple steps back. With Thunderbolt 3, this is the kind of system that when you're out in the field, use it for ingest, you could potentially use it for ingest management. We're processing email, whatever relatively mundane tasks, how to say that you use a computer for. When you get back to the office, plug in our dock, plug in our eGPU, and now you can turn it into a true workstation. It doesn't have, super horsepower for doing that kind of work, by itself. But with Thunderbolt 3, you can plug in the capabilities you need externally. So going back to the drive, with only 512 gigabyte drive, you kind of limit what you can actually carry around on it. That'd be my only disappointment.
For somebody that has a small project, is the Air fast enough to do 4K editing? Maybe not strong color grading, but can we edit 4K?
Not unless you put an eGPU on it. I mean, again, if you're on the road with it, by itself, it's not going to be able to do what you need it to do. But you plug in an eGPU with like a Radeon 580 inside. That's what our Helios certainly would support. Now you have the horsepower, the GPU capability to do that kind of editing. I mean, it's really going into this modular world where you've got a base system that you can take anywhere and do, have your resources with you, and then you get to the office, you get home, you get to a base of operations where you can have additional hardware, and then via Thunderbolt 3, you plug in the extra capabilities.
Okay, well, that's the MacBook Air. Sounds like a very capable general-purpose computer. What about the iPads and the iPad Pros that they announced?
With Type-C, and you can plug a dock in, the potential plugging storage in, and we all got to see what you could do with Photoshop and even the augmented or the virtual reality type for applications. It's a new age and a new way. That's for sure. I haven't personally played with the machines and played with the Adobe to see what the real the real nuts and bolts are there. But it's definitely a world where both laptops and tablets and everything is certainly the perfect. What you need for your output needs. It's certainly the options are becoming more interesting.
Something I read today that I just want to share with you. One of the things I learned, as you know, the iPad Pros moved from a Lightning connector to a USB-C, but the iPad does not support typical file transfers. You can't see the contents of an external drive connected to the iPad Pro. So for people that wanted to use the iPad as, say, like in a typical computer operation, we're not able to see files on external storage. I hope that that's something Apple fixes in the near future, because that would make it a whole lot more useful. Which gets me to the Mac Mini.
I want to say,
go ahead.
Just and let me go on. But there should, natively that should be supported. There's software, there's applications that allow you to do in a kind of a clunky. I consider it clunky, but they exist now for the iPhones, via Lightning storage, and they certainly that transfers onto the Type-C. There are clunky ways to transfer data back and forth. But I agree 100% that Apple, it's not about fixing it. Apple just needs to come out and natively support it.
Especially when they were promoting it as a replacement for a typical laptop. This is your new computer kind of thing. It'd be nice to be able to access files stored externally.
Wouldn't it?
Which gets me to the thing that has me the most excited, which is the Mac Mini. What are your thoughts?
Again, I consider a big step forward. All flash. The huge thing up to 64 gigabytes of memory capability, which is huge. For editing. And once again, it's a modular system. The built-in video doesn't give you a whole heck of a lot of capability for the higher-end video and photography. But, via Thunderbolt, now you plug in whatever you need today. Put a Helios FX on it, with a GPU. Now you have the horsepower to do that editing, and that's the cool thing. A year from now, when things change, there's a different codec, need more GPU capability. You can add you replace that video card with a new video card, and that Mac Mini is still relevant. So a lot of horsepower packed in a really small device with that whole future, flexibility built in. Won't call it future-proof, but it's pretty darn close, since GPUs are really where everything changes the most over the years. That's why Apple gets away with a system that doesn't change for 2-3 years sometimes. It's the GPU, especially when you can plug it in externally, where you get that those major leaps. So very, very cool, and about darn time that we have the ability to upgrade our own memory again, too.
Well, that gets me to an OWC-style question. You guys have been making add-on memory since the beginning of time. Can you upgrade a Mac Mini with more memory? Because I've been understanding it's a little bit trickier than just simply popping a cover off and sliding in some new RAM.
Yeah, they didn't leave it as quite as simple as the previous generation. Well, actually, go back 2 generations. To get into and swap that memory out. But absolutely, it's user upgradable. And the memory kits that we offer, actually everybody who ordered the initial solutions from us, we threw in the tools, and now coming online are available. You can buy the memory by itself or get the memory with a tool set. But we include the tools you need to get in there. And it's again, Apple didn't make it as easy as they could have, but it's certainly something that pretty much anybody can do. And if you start with 8 gigs at the factory, it's $600 to go to 32 gigs. Factory-wise, it's $330 for an OWC kit to get to that same memory, and then you can even get another $30 back for the 8 gigs that's already in there. So big savings to upgrade it yourself. Certainly worth a little extra time after you get it.
For people that want to save money but don't feel comfortable moving the tools around themselves, could they send you the Mac Mini and have you guys do the upgrading?
Today there's so many great shops, local around everybody. You could send it in to us. And, if you going back, 30 years, we had people even with, the chips you had to kind of give a little bend to and stick them in the sockets. It's can we pay you to do it? You can. We really, it's one of those things where we almost don't feel comfortable saying yes to it. But if you're truly not comfortable, doing the installation, we can definitely work with you and a local provider to get that done locally. It's certainly, you don't want to be without that machine. You can send it in to us, and it's $99. We'll do the installation, but typically for that or less, you can get it done, right in your own neighborhood. The Mac Mini is very easy to work on.
Well, let's talk more new products. OWC announced a whole bunch of new toys. What's stuff we should know about?
Geez, we got Thunderbase 6, which kicks you up to 84 terabytes of total storage. Our new docks are rolling along. We have a 14-port Thunderbolt 3 dock. Envoy Pro, actually, I always like to talk about Envoy Pro. Actually, it just gets faster as the SSD generations come along. I always turn around and say, is there any particular product you're super excited about? All the stuff you can find. It's all, it's with Thunderbolt 3 today, and again, you look at the new Mac Mini, we look at the MacBook Air. It's really a future where, yes, you can buy, that Pro system with all the capabilities built in, or for, these much lower costs, you can buy a base system where you plug these things in externally. Apple just started supporting the eGPUs. I'm coming back. I know this product's been shipping for a few months, but the Helios FX, on top of a Mac Mini or on top of a rather connected, in the side with a MacBook Air, here's a machine that's really a kind of a relatively speaking, it's a consumer. It's a I don't know, how would I even place it? It's relatively low-end system capability-wise. Even with the processor, it can do great things, but you plug in an eGPU, and now all of a sudden you can do AR, VR, high-end editing. And that's the same with the Mac Mini. And again, you have that future-proof bit where you're not dependent on a GPU that's just built in and soldered inside the system. You can get the GPU that you need today, and a year from now you can get the GPU that's going to take you forward in the future as well.
So when does OWC have an eGPU?
We have it right now. Oh, you mean we do right now, the Helios FX, and it bundles up with for under $600. it bundles up with a Radeon 580, which is the same GPU that ships in the iMac Pro.
I missed the press release. What's it called?
Helios FX.
Cool. And for what would be the advantage of the OWC eGPU versus Blackmagic?
Well, it's a little bit lower cost, and we're dedicated on the eGPU side. So, I guess the only other benefit potentially is slightly higher performance on the GPU. There's no overhead given to USB or any other functions. I'll be honest with you, I do like the Blackmagic product, but if you're just looking for pure graphics capability, the Helios that is all that is focused upon.
Very cool. Larry, for people that want more information about the products, especially the eGPU that OWC offers, where can they go on the web?
Well, we can make it really, really simple now. They can go to OWC.com, which it's taken us 23 years to get that wrangled. But we now have OWC.com, and from OWC.com you can check out OWC Digital or go straight to Mac Sales, where you can, on both sites, you can learn about the products and or buy the products and find great places, great partners that support it.
And Larry O'Connor's the CEO of OWC. Larry, I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Larry. Appreciate it. Bye now.
Jim Tierney founded Digital Anarchy in 2001 specifically to develop plugins to simplify creating high-quality visual effects. This week, we want to check back in to see how things are going. Hello, Jim. Welcome back.
Hey, Larry. Thanks for having me.
It is always fun to have you on the show. And I was just thinking, the last time we talked, you were introducing Transcriptive. Now you seem to be calling it a family with a new title, Power Search, to go with it. But I want to talk about Transcriptive first. Describe what it is and what's the latest news about it.
Transcriptive's a way of getting automatic captions, subtitles, metadata, basically turning all the dialogue in your video clips into metadata, which can be used in all sorts of ways, from search to captions to what have you. And, we released that about a year ago, and that's, built into Premiere, so it's totally integrated with Premiere. We just added Power Search to that. We're releasing the transcriptive.com website, which will enable us to work with other host apps like FCP and Resolve and stuff like that. So lots of cool stuff coming.
Is Transcriptive machine translated or is it human translated?
Right now, it's all AI. It allows you to send out to a couple different services. We've always had the ability to import human transcripts, but we are coming out with a new transcriptive AI service and also a transcriptive human service. So if the AI isn't accurate enough for you, you can send it out for a human transcriptionist.
You talk about the fact that you offer it to two different automatic transcription services. As filmmakers, how do we decide which one to use? Well,
you can try them both out. It really comes down between Speechmatics and the transcriptive AI, because Watson kind of sucks. It's cheap, but it's in there mostly. I mean, it's okay if you have perfectly recorded audio, but the further you get away from that, the accuracy really drops off pretty quickly.
Your newest product, which you just mentioned, is called Power Search. What's that?
So Power Search is another panel for Premiere, and what we found with transcriptive users is that transcriptive will search like one sequence or one clip, but we had a lot of users going like, all right, well, I've got transcripts for all of these clips. How do I search all the clips all at once and just get search results? And so Power Search is kind of the answer for that. It'll search the transcripts, it'll search markers, it'll search metadata, it'll search caption files, and return the results back just like any other search engine. It's basically a search engine integrated into Premiere.
So it doesn't just search transcriptive data, it searches any data that's in Premiere?
Yeah, so you don't even need to use transcriptive. I mean, obviously, we recommend transcriptive, but I don't know why you would want to use anything else. But, if you're using, Trint or SpeedScriber or Simon Says or, some of these other services out there, as long as you can get that data into Premiere, we can find it.
What is it about Power Search you're most pleased with?
The ability to search different aspects of Premiere. One of the things that we ran into with this, with transcriptive, was the fact that Premiere has search capabilities, but they're all compartmentalized. You can only search markers in the markers panel. You can only search captions in the captions panel. And that just seems kind of ridiculous. And I think Premiere will eventually solve that on their own and maybe render this redundant. But for now, it's just a really easy way of searching stuff. And as you click on the search results, it'll open stuff up in the sequence or in the source panel, depending on whether it's a clip or a sequence. So some nifty functionality in there that you just don't get with Premiere by itself.
You've been doing an increasing amount of work with AI in your products. Have you found that it has given you access to stuff you couldn't do before, or is it just doing stuff faster?
It's just doing stuff faster. It enables you to pretty quickly and cheaply get, basically turn all your dialogue into metadata. We're looking at other stuff for, like object recognition. It just makes everything searchable. And it does it at a low cost. It's not as accurate as humans. So, there still is value if you're, doing captions, and it has to be, 99, 100% accurate. There's still a good use case for having a person actually do it. But, it's just, it really lowers the cost and just makes it easier to get this type of metadata in there.
Jim, one of the things I noticed on your website is you're starting to call Transcriptive a suite. Why a suite? What are the products in it, and where are you taking us in the future?
There's 3 products. There's the Transcriptive Premiere panel. There's the Power Search Premiere panel, and then there's the Transcriptive.com website. And they all 3 of them sort of integrate together. Like I said, Power Search can be used with other products, but it works really well with the transcriptive tools. And, the goal is with the panel is you can send transcripts to the website. You can have somebody without Premiere or without any video editor edit the transcripts and then send them back to you into Premiere. You can search all this data, just really making use of, you've got all this metadata. You've transcribed all your dialogue, turn that into text. And it just makes it very easy to search it and create captions and, do other interesting things with it.
It's the interesting things I want to focus on, because it just struck me that if you can have a person review a transcript without having Premiere, that this starts to become a collaboration tool. What are your thoughts on collaboration?
Yeah, exactly. Again, this came out of user requests of editors going like, I don't want to edit the transcript. Why do I want to edit the transcript? Let my producer, let my client do that. And so this is just, the transcriptive.com site is just an easy way of sending that to somebody else, letting them edit it just like you would in the Premiere panel, but then sending it back. And, you can use the website as a standalone too if you just want to get captions or something. But it's really meant to, foster some collaboration between different stakeholders.
What can I do on the website, transcriptive.com, when you get that fully developed, that I can't do with the panel inside Premiere?
Really not a whole lot. Of course, you're in Premiere, so you have access to all of Premiere's tools. So it's not exactly an editing tool. Mm-hmm. One thing that you will be able to do is piece together bits of different transcripts and create kind of an assembly based on the text, and then send that to an editor in Premiere, and then have the Premiere panel automatically create a rough cut based on the text that it's been sent. So that's coming, pretty soon, actually.
Well, the thing that strikes me there is that now we no longer have to keep scrolling back and forth inside our clips, which is time consuming. Now we can go right to the transcript and build almost a selects reel based upon the text.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all of it's searchable, so now it's easy to find like the bits and pieces that you're looking for instead of having to scrub through an hour of footage.
Does Power Search require a web link, or can I do it local?
Oh no, it's all local. It's just it's a Premiere panel.
And how much does it cost?
$149, but we have an intro special of $99.
And for people that want more information, where can they go on the web?
Go to digitalanarchy.com and you can get a free 7-day trial of Power Search and a free trial of Transcriptive too.
That's all one word, digital, D-I-G-I-T-A-L, Anarchy, A-N-A-R-C-H-Y, digitalanarchy.com. And Jim Tierney is the CEO and founder of Digital Anarchy. And Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Larry.
Kieran Farr is the VP of Marketing for Bitmovin. He's an experienced technical founder and senior executive with over a decade of experience working with online video infrastructure. Hello, Kieran. Welcome.
Hello, Larry. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for being here. How would you describe Bitmovin?
Bitmovin powers critical video infrastructure for the internet. The actual products are three primary tools: a video player, video encoding in the cloud or on-premise, and then video analytics. Our software is typically used by developers or technically minded video professionals who are automating workflows or creating OTT applications.
And OTT stands for?
Over the top. You're probably familiar with applications like on your phone, Hulu or Netflix, etc. So we're powering both the legacy broadcasters who are getting into over the top, or cord cutting is another term that we hear. And we're also powering the next generation of online only or internet only broadcasters that are bypassing the legacy video distribution infrastructure.
Why are your products necessary? We have things like Apple Compressor or Adobe Media Encoder at the mass market level to encode our products, and we can stream from a variety of sources. Where do you fit into the equation?
So what we do is provide the critical video workflow that can be automated for any sort of volume. We'll look at the three different products. For the player, that's a critical piece of infrastructure for all video delivery on the internet. And typically, that is one of the most challenging components. So even if you're a major broadcaster with an engineering team, what we find is that even with that engineering team, there's so much detail. Your player has to work on this browser combination, or old browsers in Windows XP, or this new Android device that came out. It just doesn't make sense anymore for companies to maintain their own version. I mean, the analogy would be if 20, 30 years ago, NBC was manufacturing televisions and cameras. It's just not the business that they're in to provide that low-level infrastructure. So that's on the player side, where we are one of the best players in the business when it's measured against speed, quality, and feature set. On the encoding side, that is what's very useful for including in a workflow to automatically distribute content. So that's a very functional answer. The qualitative answer is that we have a set of technologies that help provide a higher quality output than other providers. And one of those technologies is called per title encoding, where we do advanced analysis of the video perceived quality and then suggest here are different bit rates that are going to be most appropriate in order to deliver that at the highest level of quality while reducing bandwidth for your end users.
So who do you view as your target customer?
Right now, our target customer are developers that are working to create a project that involves video, whether it's video delivery or video encoding or the quality of service analytics on top of it. Example projects include providing an over-the-top solution for companies like Intel in South America, or RTL in Europe, or HBO Latin America. These companies use our player, our encoding, or analytics products as part of their solution. And it helps them make sure that they get the highest quality delivery for their viewers, regardless of the viewing conditions.
One of the press releases I read within the last week was about a brand new codec that Bitmovin created called AV1. We're already drowning in codecs. Why did you feel creating a new one was necessary?
Bitmovin is a member of the Alliance for Open Media, which includes a lot of other companies, Netflix, Microsoft, Google, all sorts of different broadcasters and equipment manufacturers, even Apple. And the goal of this consortium was to create a royalty-free, high-quality codec. And this actually started a few years ago. This organization was created. So we are a part of this organization. We are not the only inventor of AV1. AV1 is a new codec, and it builds on technology that has been available over the past actually couple of decades. So the intention was to incorporate the best of breed solutions for high efficiency encoding that are not patent encumbered. And so not only is this a technical organization, but it's also an organization to make sure that this is something that will not come back to bite broadcasters, infrastructure providers like Bitmovin, or even the end user or device manufacturers. So there's two main benefits of this. Why is it created? Number one is making sure that we have a free and open source codec that the world can use. Number two is that there are very real performance improvements, especially compared to H.264, which is still the dominant format, but even against newer codecs like H.265, HEVC. This sort of compression efficiency increase is very, very useful in a couple scenarios. One is for very high definition or UHD content. So for example, Google has announced that they're going to be supporting 4K UHD and AV1, and that will probably be their preferred method for delivering ultra high bandwidth HD. And then on the other end of the spectrum, for ultra low bandwidth environments, such as in developing countries, if you have a pipe of internet access of only 100 kilobits per second, now there is a very meaningful increase. It's a very noticeable increase for the end user in their viewing experience because of codecs like AV1.
So for filmmakers who are media content creators, the people that are putting this stuff together, should they pay attention to Bitmovin?
I would say here's the most important thing, regardless of where you are, whether you're on the production side, distribution side, technology side. The most important thing is that the viewer has a high quality experience. No matter where you are in the process, that's what you should be focused on. The way to measure this is to use an analytics tool. Bitmovin has one, but so do other companies provide things such as Nice People at Work or Conviva or Mux. This is critical, even if you're a broadcaster, to be able to get that receipt, if you will, right? That, hey, when it went through all these different hoops and finally got to the viewer, I want an assurance that it provided the high quality experience, the best rendition possible, lowest buffering or no buffering, that there are not errors with the decoding or lower frame rates because of the CPU speed of the device. So even if you're not directly involved in the distribution, the need as a responsible broadcaster is that we really want to be in an environment where we know that we're having a high quality experience. I mean, if we think about broadcast, if there's 2 seconds of dead air, it is an emergency. And we just don't have that rigor yet for online video, and viewers notice that. It impacts everyone. That said, where people will see us the most is when they're involved in creating custom video distribution solutions. And then we also power other video platforms. So for example, Uyala, we power some of their critical video playback infrastructure. And that's a very good partnership. So for customers that are less technically inclined or don't have engineers to do the integration, that can be a great way to be able to use some of the power of Bitmovin through another provider.
How are your products priced?
Our products are priced on a volume basis for the most part, so it really is meant to grow with you. One comparison I like to make, let's say we're talking about hardware encoders. Well, I'll make up a price. Let's say it's a couple grand for a high-quality encoder. With Bitmovin, you can start doing these same jobs for our entry-level plan is $150 a month. So this allows people to start creating the applications, getting the value early, paying by the month, and then as their volume increases, then there's a certain ratio of, we go with minutes, depending upon the different options that you choose. So that's one option. Another option is that you can also buy a license, and that license then allows you unlimited use of that on a server. And that's typically useful for live, like 24/7 live use cases, where they're doing constant encoding, and they want to be able to put our software on their own infrastructure that they may already have on-premise or in their own managed cloud.
And for people who want more information about Bitmovin, where can they go on the web?
You can go and try out some of Bitmovin's very advanced encoding features with a point-and-click interface. The number one place I would recommend you check out is bitmovin.com/LBT. LBT stands for Ladder Benchmark Tool. And this is a free utility that allows you to upload a source video file. And then what we do is that we analyze the quality, and we will come back with suggested bit rates, or in other words, encoding settings that allow you to have the maximum quality while also serving different levels of bandwidth access for your end user.
That website is BITMOVIN, no G, bitmovin.com. That's the general website. And for the tool, it's bitmovin.com/LBT. LBT. And Kieran Farr is the VP of Marketing for Bitmovin. And Kieran, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Larry.
I want to introduce you to a new website, Thalo.com. Thalo is an artist community and networking site for creative people to connect, be inspired, and showcase their creativity. Thalo.com features content from around the world with a global perspective on all things creative. Thalo is the place for creative folks to learn, collaborate, market, and sell their works. Thalo is a part of Thalo Arts, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with the resources you need to succeed. Visit Thalo.com and discover how their community can help you connect, learn, and succeed. That's Thalo.com. Adrian Herrera is the VP of Marketing for Caringo. Caringo provides an object-based storage platform for production, distribution, and collaboration in media and entertainment. Hello, Adrian. Welcome back.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
I am talking to you. I'm doing great. Let's start, just to set the scene, with a quick background on Caringo. How do you describe what it is that you make?
Sure. First of all, Caringo's been around for 13 years, and for that entire time, we focused on software-defined storage, specifically object storage. And I think most people are familiar with file system-based storage with directories and folders. Object storage is a flat address space. So when you store something, you get an ID. And people may not know it, but they use object storage every day. Whenever they use a cloud storage service, whenever they play a video from Netflix or any major streaming service, it's object storage in the back end that's enabling all that.
Well, you describe this as software-based. Does that mean that we don't need hard disks anymore?
Yeah, you do need hard disks. So we're software. We install on any standard servers. And what our software does, it creates this massively scalable pool of storage. So the more servers you add, the more storage you have. So when we say software-defined storage, it means that it's software that you install on your choice of hardware.
Well, why is object storage so beneficial to media creators?
So object storage is beneficial because there's a few different things going on in the media creation space and production space. So file sizes are getting very large, and as file sizes get bigger, it just becomes very difficult to manage content that's being created. At the same time, you have the long tail effect. You can no longer, and I don't think you ever could, just go ahead and get rid of the content you create. But before you put it on a tape, you put it on a shelf somewhere, you put it in a salt mine, and chances are you didn't need it again. Well, what's happening more often than not now is you are repurposing that content. You need it again, and there's these libraries that have a lot of value that need to remain online and instantly accessible. Object storage simplifies that process for hundreds of terabytes to petabytes of content and video files. Those are very large libraries that can be stored easily managed and delivered directly over the web via object storage. If you're talking, to content producers out there.
Well, recently you announced a new product called a Swarm single server. How does that fit into object storage?
Yeah, typically organizations, they say, hey, we love the benefits of object storage. It sounds like exactly what we need. And then the object vendors come and say, okay, well, the initial or minimum deployment is 3 servers, and we're talking enterprise servers. So, those usually aren't cheap servers. And that's hard for a lot of small to medium-sized use cases, smaller production houses, maybe, your regional sports teams, your houses of worship. That's a lot of money to ask them to spend to use object storage, even though it is still economical from an overall capacity perspective. And we took a look at that and said, okay, well, what can we do to solve this issue? Because today, what organizations are doing, they're looking at the cloud, they're evaluating it, but a lot of people are still wary of the cloud. There's risks there, and there's a compounding cost of the cloud. And what object storage does, it lets them create or keep a cloud-like solution secure within their own network. And we took a look at all these things and said, okay, well, what if we can put everything, kind of standing up your own private cloud in one server? And what if we can do that at a price point that's equivalent to what cloud storage would cost in a year and a half? And that's what led to Swarm single server. So for an MSRP of about $49,000, you get 60 terabytes usable. It's actually 96 terabytes raw of object storage. It also includes content management. It also includes the ability to share files internally and externally easily. And it's all in one box. You could put this in a server room. You can put it on a desk. And we're really going after the small to medium use cases in the media entertainment industry. So a lot of your viewers or your listeners would probably benefit from a solution like this.
Well, you've described it as a different way of storing, and all of us are familiar with how hard disks and RAIDs work. If I install this Swarm server, what's the big benefit that I'm going to see? What justifies the transition?
So the big benefit is, and it's almost like the object storage is a misnomer because it does more than just storage. As I mentioned, there is content delivery built in. It's more from an overall solutions perspective, it's more similar to cloud storage. In a cloud storage environment, you can set up accounts, you can set capacities, you can set access limits, you can share files directly over the web. So an object storage solution enables all of that. And software like ours enables you to do that within your own network. And that's how it differs from RAID and file-based storage and just your regular hard drive. So, if you have your regular hard drive, a NAS or something at home, you just can't share a file over the internet. You need something in front of that, whether it's an FTP server or web server. The file system lets you find the information and find that file. But when you're dealing with millions of files, that becomes, file systems become cumbersome. And you mentioned RAID, which is something that object storage also eliminates. Object storage has built-in protection, so everything's continuously being protected. And in the case of an issue, a lot of the times the only thing that needs to be rebuilt is one piece of content versus an entire RAID set. So it's just a much more durable way to store content. It's a way to store content for the long term, and it's a way to keep it accessible. In the media and entertainment space, it falls in between your nearline storage and your LTO. Right? You still have your nearline storage for production. You need that, all the file walking capabilities and all the performance to back end your editing platforms. But once you're done with your projects, what do? Where do you store them? Today, most organizations are just shipping it to tape or shipping it to LTO. What Object lets you do is it lets you, approach the economics of tape, but keep that data, all those projects, all those pieces of content online and accessible. And when I say accessible, I'm talking, sub-second access time. You don't need to wait like you do if you store something on tape.
See, I think that's a really interesting distinction. We still need high-performance storage for production and post, but then once the job is done, that's where object storage comes in to be able to hang on to it and keep track of it rather than move it to tape. Except you said that this is very similar to the cloud, and you've already expressed the fact that many of us are reluctant to go to the cloud for security reasons. How do you keep your system secure?
Well, the system is, since we're software, you run it within your own data center, within your own network. So essentially, it's taking the same technology that all the cloud service providers use, but using it within your own network. So at any time, it's as secure as anything within your own four walls because it is in your four walls.
So it's behind our firewall.
Absolutely, yes.
Very cool. And the price to get started, you say, is about $49K?
Yes, $49,000, and that's for 96 terabytes usable, and that includes 3 years of support and maintenance. And as I also said, it includes content management. So you're able to search for content and edit metadata. You're able to create different accounts and give access to those accounts to different organizations, maybe different business units within your own organization. And it also includes the ability to share files both internally and externally, and also revoke access to those files. And it's all based upon HTTP. So to share a file, you simply give them a URL.
Wow.
And that's all you need to do.
Adrian, for people that want more information, where can they go on the web to learn more about this product?
They can go to Caringo.com. That's Caringo.com. And under our product section, we have an appliances category. You just click on that, and that's where you find information.
And Adrian Herrera is the VP of Marketing for Caringo, Caringo.com. And Adrian, thanks for joining us today. Take care.
Thank you, Larry.
Bye-bye. I was just thinking, our world seems to be awash in turmoil today. From the U.S. elections a couple of days ago to mass shootings in California to wars around the globe, polarization and conflict seem to be at center stage. What strikes me, though, as I read and watch and listen, is the vital role video plays in all of this. Video can make a situation worse. But more often, video exposes, explains, and at its best, reassures. Print is vitally important in today's society to keep us informed, but video not only shows us what's going on, but tells us what to feel. It gives the news a face. For those of us working in the industry, it's easy to forget the impact and power of a visual image. Because our job is to create and craft them, we often take them for granted. But we can't afford to forget the power each of us has for good or ill. In a world that seems to be flying apart, video can bring us together or drive us further apart. Each of us, as media creators, has the ability to reach a worldwide audience. Each of us gets to choose where we stand and what we say. And each of us can contribute to the problem or contribute to the solution. To quote Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, and each of us gets to make a choice. Just something I'm thinking about. I want to thank our guests this week, Larry O'Connor with OWC, Jim Tierney with Digital Anarchy, Kieran Farr with Bitmovin, AJ Herrera with Caringo, and James DeRuvo with doddleNEWS.com. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online and all available to you today. And remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter that comes out every Saturday morning. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Dookie Turner, with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Our producer is Debbie Price. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to the Digital Production Buzz. The Digital Production Buzz is copyright 2018 by Thalo LLC.